He's back, and he's looking around. He's looking around, chat.
I don't trust him, chat.
He's looking around.
I don't trust.
I'm here for. Oh, I forgot to. There's another one that's filled in the back. Is it? Yeah, it's filled. Okay. I knew there's. Oh, it's halfway full. Okay, everybody, here it is. We're all fired. It's in the title.
Fired.
And when I mean we, I do mean we the people. We're all done. Welcome in. Sarcastic Grandpa.
What's going on, Tim?
Dusty Hobbies. Lumberjack. Sulfurish. Ted Onions. Rip. That's right.
Rip is right.
I have a picture that I use to make sure that all of my paints, and when I mean my paints, I mean our paints for Jason, are all
my paints.
Are
what do you
all
mean?
in
What
order.
he meant to say was my paints.
I did miss one of the little
so
turquoise
far,
and jade.
that was just one that was just blatantly wrong.
No,
The ones that are subtly wrong, I haven't gotten to yet.
I do follow the picture. There are no
Subtle wrongs.
subtle wrongs.
Remains to be seen.
Check me.
It looks fairly close everywhere else. So
When you say fairly close, you mean exactly on point, right?
it looks fairly close. I'm not sure about exactly anything.
Hey, you know what? I do. If I can get fairly close, I think that's it.
Holy cow, Chris!
Yeah.
I don't think you missed anywhere.
No, not this time.
Holy mackerel, that's a great prime job, dude.
Thank you.
That's really clean.
Courtesy of our
Did you hire
beautiful.
somebody to do that?
No, that's me. That's raw me. Raw. Look at that.
We're painting Lumberjack Tim's favorite miniature.
Using the powers you gave me, and yet the audacity to show up and work today. I'm here. Yes, I'm still here. Dusty Hobbies, Cannibal. I'm here.
I know.
Mechanic, guys,
It's crazy,
imposter.
Dusty. Crazy.
I'm still here.
Crazy.
You can drag me out of this building.
It's
You can take the Chris out of
Crazy.
Monument. You can't take the Monument out of Chris. You heard me. You all soak that in.
What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. We are back. It is Monday. It's almost like I never left, except I left
Wow.
for like
The prodigal
a
son.
week and a half.
The prodigal father returns. The prodigal son.
I think I actually built this model, and I think I got all the stuff on there correctly.
It looks good to me.
I feel like it's okay, man.
I think it's.
It didn't go together very well.
Now this is the guy in the app.
It's
Looks, it looks like just like the guy in the app. When you open up the 40K app,
what?
it looks exactly like this dude. Like the art.
Well, okay.
That's it. That's my story.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
That's all I have for you. That's it. Hey, but speaking what all the things I have for you, welcome back, Jason.
Welcome back, Chris.
We're so glad you're back.
I am so glad to be back.
We had a great time with Baby J and myself.
Good.
We got a lot done.
How did chat enjoy it?
I hope chat did. I think everybody was having a good time. Did
That's
some
the only
true
thing that
metallic
matters to me.
chrome. True
mean-
metallic chrome, all that.
You guys having a good time is kind of a given, Chris.
That's
so
right.
it's really more me worrying.
No, that's
about-
not true. Sometimes I
Shit.
have a horrible time.
You never have a horrible time in here.
Oh, yeah. Every day. I hide it really well.
Hmm.
There's a lot of bits and bobs on that little guy.
Chatty's lying again,
I've never lied.
except that one time.
Hello. Cyber Spy. Hello.
Spatsnat says it was unique.
It was unique. That's right.
Fjordhorde says chat did not enjoy it.
What? Fjord Horde?
That was my
What?
fear.
What do you
is
mean?
You leave these guys. You leave.
No.
You leave the keys
No.
to the castle
Horrible.
with Christopher and Jordan.
We did a good job.
And you get unique.
Okay. No free pub for Gabe.
No free pub for Gabe.
Yeah.
We
Cool.
won't have that around
I'm
here.
glad he crushed it.
First pundit to have a play with the Proacryl and you fell in love. Nice, Dusty. It's great stuff. At
awesome.
At Contrast, I got the pleasure to sit with. I mean, I feel like some of, if not the best painters in the world. Chistov Kubelchek. I probably butchered his last name. I always do. Katerina Gorska, Kaha. Natalia Oras. Just a wonderful group of people. Of course, Matt Seshwich was there. Mally Anderson, no slouch, our Monument EU director. was there with us. Just a tremendous power group of painters at the booth, and everybody getting their hands on the expert acrylics and absolutely loving them.
Yeah.
So that was brilliant. I had fun.
I'm glad you had fun.
I had fun. I painted an owl. Well, at least I started painting an owl.
You painted an owl.
This was my showing everybody the power of Proacryl while I sat and painted at the booth thing. This is Natalia, one of her ideas. Her company is called Owlsome Creations.
Nice.
And so she made these owl busts. So
Oh, that's cool. Is
that's
that
some fun?
use
Doing
the
that.
expert acrylics on there?
Yeah, there is a lot of expert acrylics. All the gold is done with the expert acrylics.
Nice.
The red on the shoulder cloak thing is done with the expert acrylics.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that model. Looks clean.
Yeah.
Hey, you look pretty clean. Looks clean.
I took a shower today. Thanks for noticing.
You did?
Yeah. I do it every now and then.
Oh.
When I don't want to seem like a barbarian.
Hoosier. Yes, Jason's back. He's okay.
He's okay.
Thumb Palette. 4 months. Thank you
And
for
of
the
course,
sub.
Mashik.
Oh, my heavens to Betsy.
Mashik sat down for an hour and a half
dude.
and made a gold shoulder plate.
Made everybody look
Yeah, like a
like a pleb.
a gold shoulder plate.
It's awesome.
Freaking bastard.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
yeah, that was kind of cool.
That is gold.
I got a ton of models.
Hey, look at that. Look what I knew it. I knew you were going to get some.
I got a ton of models.
That's what that shelf is for.
Yeah, I got a ton of models.
It's for more models.
I'll try to remember to bring them all. They're in my luggage at home. So I'll try to bring them and show off. I got the con exclusive, which sold out before the show opened. The
How does
con
that
exclusive model sold out before the show opened, which
Like
is this really cool mermaid model.
Like a pre
They
pre-order?
announce it, and it just is the way it goes. They only make like, I don't know, a couple hundred, and
Yeah.
they just immediately sell out.
How big is Contrast? So like Nova size?
It's
Bigger?
probably like 3,000 or 4,000 attendees.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a bit.
Okay.
It was a lot of people flooding through there every day of the weekend. It was fun.
That's the Hobbies asking, do we have any cow photos from Monument EU?
Shady freaking cows. I was not into hanging out with them, so no. I
Yes.
did not give them the benefit of free press.
Hoosier, yes. Painting Ultramarines. Jason, we had a little hobby day yesterday, which seems like an eternity ago.
Wow, it
And
does, doesn't it?
It does. It truly does.
I was a horrible person. I
You're
had
not
asked
horrible.
Jordan if he wanted to do that first.
Oh,
and,
no.
And then
Oh.
you guys, and then got lost in the fact that we had the Discord conversation or the chat conversation, but I had text Jordan, and so we all came, and about halfway through us sitting here hobbying, I was like, I guess Jordan, dicked out on us. He didn't want to come, and Jordan was sitting at home, like,
Shoot.
waiting on me to text him. I'm a horrible person.
Dang. Hey,
Horrible, horrible human being.
that's okay. We're going to have another one.
Horrible human being I am.
So,
I'm getting out of DD3. Why?
So-
Because I can, and we make them, and they're beautiful brushes. So I'm getting out of DD3, a little bit of dampness on it, a little bit of burnt sienna. Do that. Have quite a bit of paint on the brush, and then I'm doing this.
you're just going for it.
Why not?
Nice.
Ain't nobody got time for messing around.
So, why the Ultramarine? Why? What inspired you?
I mean, I like Ultramarine Blue. I like painting them. I think that
Yeah.
they have some of the best looking
Yeah.
armor when it's done right.
Uh-huh.
Right? That dirty kind of blue when it's done in a really nice rough,
Yeah.
I dread grimdark, but
Yeah.
it is, right? You just make cool Marines. And they're also the poster children of GW, obviously.
Now, so you were talking to me about this yesterday. Kind of give me an elevator pitch on how you're approaching this one in particular.
Well, my whole goal with this is to show people how you can very quickly, and I always dread saying fast, because everybody paints at their own pace, right? Me calling this fast is going to be a joke, right? Because I never paint fast. But I'm going to show you how you can do, very nice paint job without an airbrush for Space Marines, without any complicated painting. I'm literally right now with Dome Dry Brush just smudge brushing this. Just don't even care. Just putting this rusty base color down
Yeah.
on the Marine. And, so I figured it would be a really good way with all of the Space Marine 2 and, people that are really into doing Space Marines. We spend a lot of time talking color combos and how to do it, white armor, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't really show people all the time, like, okay, well, what if you just wanted to get down and dirty, paint a Marine really quick?
Yeah.
Not have to go through all the steps. Maybe you don't have an airbrush. Because, you know, being honest, with Marines, the fastest and easiest method is always going to be an airbrush. Just plain and simple.
But if you don't have one.
But if you don't have one, or you don't want one, or you just prefer, you don't like the way airbrush looks, you're not good with it, you're not confident or uncomfortable with the airbrush yet, but you have one, you know, whatever the case may be, gotta fix this.
Is it not on there enough?
Well, I'm beating the crap out of it with a dry brush, so it's gonna wobble around a little bit. Okay, so anyway, I figured it would just be nice to come in and do a fast paint job. A lot of times we, you know, I guess we kind of did a fast paint job with the Inquisitor, with the old hammer.
Old hammer, new hammer.
But now we're doing new hammer.
That's right.
So
I'm going to zoom in one. Nice. Okay.
So yeah, that's the goal, Christopher.
I like that.
Does that give you enough to work with there?
It does.
Okay, that's what we're doing. And so for first thing, I just want to get, you know, a quick coating of this kind of rusty color. Normally we would be doing purple or something for the shadow, but I want to do this as a really grimy. I've been getting a lot of questions on social media lately as more people learn about our shorts and see our tutorials that Chris does a great job of putting out, that, you know, hey, did you do anything in the grimdark style? And I hate that term, but yes, you know, showing you how to do gritty Marines without, you know, a ton of effort is something that people want. They want to know, okay, how do I do this? You know, and so that's what we're going to do. So here we are, dry brushes. I wish I could say I'd do it dry brush only, but I have a real hard time doing edge highlights with dry brush, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So bear with me. We will do it as much with the tools that are easy to come by, stuff that every single one of us knows and loves, is easy to manipulate. A dry brush like this, I'm literally just smudging.
You're just going for it.
Yeah, it's literally just smudging around.
Yeah, that looks good.
Right, so there you go. Boom, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, pow, zap. Shaboiga.
Shaboiga.
Yeah, it looks good. Ta-da! I'm done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow.
Wow. I'm like, this is the best Ultramarine I've ever seen.
Right?
One color, not even blue.
He's fighting on Mars
in
the middle of a sandstorm.
Okay, I could buy that, actually.
This could be any faction you want, actually. I mean, we're calling it Ultramarines just because that's what people like.
Yep.
But this could be anything. This could be chaos. You know, if you paint your army this way, you can just be, it can be whatever you want it to be.
It's just
what do you want to play today?
It's in a sandstorm.
Sandstorm. My guys are fighting on Mars in a sandstorm.
Cyber's saying, I'm attempting methodology 27, and I noticed the recent video I did burnt sienna instead of mahogany. Which should I use for my Necrons? Methodology number 27.
What was it?
I'm going to double check.
Rusty metal?
Rusty metal? I think it is rusty metal.
Is it one of the rusty metal ones?
I think so. So instead of mahogany, you did burnt sienna. I'm imagining it's that.
Papa Chicken, the BAB, stands for exactly what November 627 says. Big ass brush.
Yep.
Papa Chicken, you also are now singing that Darude Sandstorm song?
Darude.
Is that what his name is? Darude?
Darude. I'm looking. Yes. It is the rusty metal, and in our methodology from a long time ago, you have mahogany, but burnt sienna and mahogany could be interchangeable.
Yeah, burnt sienna didn't exist in our line when we did that one.
Oh.
So it was originally mahogany, burnt orange, yellow ochre.
Yep. That's it, Cybernet.
Yeah. You can still use the mahogany. Mahogany is a great what you want is you just want a reddish shadow color, right? The burnt orange and the burnt sienna might actually be too close together for you.
Yeah.
So using the mahogany, the burnt orange, and the yellow will give you more contrast in that layer, which can be fun. So either one of them are passable. Both work fantastically well.
I like it.
All right. I need a blue. I need a blue, dude. A blue. And here's the part where I like dark gray blue.
Dark gray blue? Okay.
Dark blue is a little too purpley. I think that any of the other ones are too dark because that's not what I'm going for here. But I think dark gray blue would be a good first pass on this. And then blue. Regular blue.
Just straight up blue.
We'll do, we're just going to do, no mixing. We're just
straight
gonna
up
bang,
blue.
Bang. Right? Dark gray blue, and sky blue. Ow.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. That's
I like this.
Ultramarine.
Oh my gosh, Alex is going to be so excited.
Ultramarine.
She's super into Marines right now.
Ultramarines.
Now, why don't you use? Okay, no, I like this. I'm excited.
Or you flip the emblem upside down and Omega Marines.
Omega Marines. I like this. You're all about to get the best Ultramarine tutorial you've ever done seen.
Finn Quinn Stagger, welcome back. Thank you. Thank you.
How much does your back hurt right now, November 26th? Only got it recently. Hey, November 627. That's okay. We support all ages. I'm going to say that out loud and publicly.
All right, boys and girls. Now we take a DD2, a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And a little blue. This I'm going to do a little bit more like a dry brush. More like we do that metal. So pop it in.
Yep.
Pop it in, Chris. Make it pop, Chris.
I'm so glad you're back.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's so great that
you had lunch.
You missed me so.
I did.
I did actually have lunch today, Chris.
I was thinking about having lunch. I didn't do that.
Thank God.
I thought the first day back, I don't know. I don't know for Jason.
Give me some time.
It's for you.
Give it some time.
Not for me. Okay,
yeah.
So okay. Walk me through this, Jason.
So what we're doing now is taking the blue and doing just like we do with the metal, the dirty metal. You're familiar with this, Chris. You do it on a lot of your models.
Yes.
So we're doing the same exact thing here. You want to try to keep your brush moving in the same direction. So, generally top to bottom is the way you want to do that so that you can maintain a little bit of the darker red in the shadows, right? Because that's kind of the goal, is for it to maintain kind of a dirty, rusty, earthen environment feel, was what I was going for with this. Why I picked the dirty orange-red style color as opposed to, purple like I would normally do. Because we're going to do this guy ultra gritty.
Uh-huh.
Right now he looks like he's in some crazy OSL lighting.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
So, I mean, you can see, like, during the course of this, you can see, like, oh, that would be cool. I can make it look like he's got a light shining on him. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
The dry brush is an amazing tool. You could stipple this, too, but I don't like doing that. It gives a lot of unwanted texture to models.
Yeah.
So I typically, on Marines with large armor spaces or on models with a lot of open flesh and stuff, I won't use the stippling motion of the brush.
Okay.
I'll do more of a traditional dry brush, which is why it's important to make sure that I'm always moving the brush from bright spot to dark spot, right? So I'm not squibbing the brush around or smudging it as much now as I was on the first pass. I'm treating it like a traditional dry brush, like on this top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom the whole time. And not hitting the model on this brush stroke, only on this one, on the downstroke. Mm-hmm. But I can punch color on there harder. I'm not having to be easy with the model or anything like that. And you're getting some really neat.
Are you getting some new like gradients and shadows here?
Yeah, just the way you do with the metal, right? Pop in super close.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the way we do on the metal, right? I get this kind of built up, dirty feel.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm liking it.
So it's going to be, again, just super, super easy to build up color this way.
Yeah.
And it gives you that underpainting capability that we do with the rusty metals, that the rust shows through, but not enough to make... I mean, I guess it could show through as much as you want it to, right? So you can cover as much or as little as you want with this. If you want it to be completely beat up and rusty, then don't put as big of a heavy brushstroke into it as I am with the blue, right? Up to you. Do as you please.
Derpstick says, what would the shadow color be for a marine color scheme that's mostly consistent of warm grays as the primer color? Primary color.
For shadows?
For mostly consistent of warm gray shadow color. Yeah, the shadow colors for warm gray.
I mean, it can be whatever you want, right? Blues work really well. But I guess it just depends on so is the final color of the armor warm gray? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I think so. I think that's what you're trying to say, Derpstick.
If that's the case, then anything. How do you want the model to feel? Is it meant to feel really dirty? Because browns can work. Greens can work and make it feel really dirty. Stuff like this, right? The burnt sienna would work really well to give it a kind of very, dirty down feel.
I feel like I should have just did the same technique you're doing right now with like my orcs.
Could have, yeah. This is super simple. So everything you see me do here is something that every one of you
Yeah.
at home can do, regardless if it's your first day with a paintbrush or your 10 millionth day with a paintbrush, and get really great results. It's going to, as long as you don't do too much paint on the brush, that's the only thing you really worry about here. Because if the brush is overloaded with paint, then it can cover up all of your first color, right? Which is not what we look for. We want it to kind of build up in those hard to reach places. You'll notice that with the downstroke, like on the Marine, you'll see this little, whatever it is,
That's like a
nameplate on his shoulder pad.
Yeah.
Because of the dome dry brush not getting, you would get orange on the top, which might not be what you want. So I just go in and poke the paintbrush to get rid of that, because it's a highlight spot, so it wouldn't have as much of that orange.
Nice. Right? Okay.
So it's really up to you. And again, like I said, if you're painting this quick, if you're just trying to get, because it's a character model, but you can see, like, we can use this on every model in our army.
Yeah.
But if you were going through and just wanting to get your troops done fast, don't think about the things that slow you down. Like, lighting direction is created by the direction of your dry brush, right? So if I'm going top to bottom, my light is top to bottom, assuming that I'm going with brighter colors each time, because it's going to leave the, these, I'm going to get a smaller brush so I can get up underneath the arm without busting off those purity seals. So I'll get a DD1 now.
Using the whole gamut. Can you explain how much paint you take off with your dry brushes? That was a question when I was doing my stippling with, or my dry brushing on Smaug, that explain to us how much paint you take off of your brush as best you can.
I guess in situations like this, it's not a lot, right? So I'll load the brush, and then I'll be like 1-2 or something like that. I'm paying attention. Look at in my case, I'm using a napkin, right? So I look at the napkin and see how much paint is coming off on the napkin.
Yeah.
And if very little paint is coming off on the napkin, I probably need more paint on the brush, because it's not going to put much paint on my my model. Now I'm also using a damp brush here, so realize that the brush is not dry in the traditional sense. So it's more like a in between standard paintbrush style consistency and a dry brush, and that means that it's going to deliver more paint with each brush stroke and not just grab the edges, which is what we're looking for, right? Because we're doing base coating right now with the dry brush.
Right.
So you want it a little bit damp, but by a little bit damp, I still wipe it off on the paper towel. I don't want it as wet as I would with a normal paintbrush, but somewhere in the middle, right? And then it's just kind of, look around. Like, is it delivering too much paint? If I'm not comfortable with the way the brush feels loaded with paint, then I'll hit an area I don't care as much about first. See how that looks.
Yeah, you're welcome, Soul Siege. Now, I remember last week we were talking about this. I'm like, I need to ask Jason that specific question of, like, how do you explain to someone how much paint do you take off of your dry brush? So that makes a lot of sense.
Boom.
I love that. Quick. Already feels like he's just getting classic. I like that color.
Yeah, dark gray blue as a base on this, I think, is going to be great. I didn't really plan this out. I had kind of an idea that I talked to you about yesterday when I was
No, I
building
was
the model. I was like, I got an idea. I want to show people how to paint it fast. I'll pick colors on the fly. It'll be great. Chris loves that when I do that, when I just kind of freestyle it, because he's like, oh God. Chris is a fix it and pre guy.
I don't.
So when I come to him with my standard, hey Chris, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but it's going to be great. Just turn the cameras on and follow along.
I've adapted. I'm adapted.
You get more comfortable with it.
I'm adaptable. I base it off of the questions that I have, because I have legit questions. I'm assuming people have the same one. Oh, you're dry brushing right now. Nice. Is that slate blue? No, it is. Remind us.
Dark gray blue.
Dark gray blue.
Dark gray blue. You could use dark navy blue here if you wanted to. I was trying to do something that still allows the pop in real close. That still allows the burnt sienna to have an effect.
Ooh.
So you don't want it to be so dark that you lose the burnt sienna, or that the burnt sienna, even worse, feels brighter.
Yeah.
Right. I guess that's the big thing. Is that I don't want the burnt sienna to seem like a glow.
Okay.
I want it to still feel like it's the
in the shadow.
the right kind of a shadow plus dirt color in this case. So if you wanted to use a darker color, like if you were doing maybe a black marine, maybe in that case you do something a little bit darker, like black, brown, or dark flesh might work really well. You know, something like that. If you wanted it to still be this kind of warm, dirty color, you always just want to make sure that the shadow color still stays as, you know, being at least the same value, if not in most cases you want it darker than whatever color you're putting on here. And it's pretty good. I could touch it up forever, but then it's not painting fast, is it? Right? Because we still have more colors to go. But that gives you a nice undercoat. Nothing anybody here can't do. If you're watching this whole process, this is all going to be really simple stuff. So next color, we're going to get some blue.
Sir Blame, I'm going to give you a link for some rusty metal we were just talking about. Check out that methodology. It's dope.
Yeah, because you can imagine doing this with metallics. If I were to dry brush metallics over that burnt sienna, that just makes it look like it's rusty underneath.
Yeah.
That we've been doing that for years. I've been teaching that, and it is literally the quickest, best looking way to make rusty metal. It just looks so good. This is the same exact concept. Right?
Yeah.
Here,
it's the same thing.
Right? This is probably burnt sienna, burnt orange, and yellow ochre stippled on all the armor, just kind of smudged around, so it's got a like a clown suit, grandma's quilt look of those colors.
Yep.
No direction to it at all. Everybody can do it really simply. And then you dry brush, in this case, dark silver and silver to just catch the edges, dark silver, and that's it. Like all this armor got done in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Pop in real close on this back piece because you can see the rusty colors in there. You can see the little grimy yellows and orange spots and stuff because just enough shows through to give it that dirty, beaten effect. So if you're doing raw steel armor on fantasy models or Imperial Guard or whatever, it's just the easiest way to do that.
100%. And it's fast.
Titans.
It's fast, not instant gratification,
but it kind of is. It looks good right away.
It's low effort.
It's that dumpster fire look when you're putting the rust colors on because you're like, oh, God. And then you start dry brushing the metal over the top and you're like,
yes.
It's so good. Yeah, it's just a trick I've been using forever.
Yes, Finn, all PA paints. We make Proacryl here at Monument Hobbies. But yes, it's all done with Proacryl.
Everything we do.
But yeah, Sir Blame, check that methodology out. It's what he was just describing. I do that on pretty much everything now.
It's a quick way to paint. And like I said, you can paint just about anything.
Like
skin.
Titans, like the inside of a Titan.
Oh, the steel frame of the Titan is just instantly done. And it doesn't feel like you did it. Like, again, let me show you this armor. This is nothing. I haven't like edge highlighted this with a brush.
Yeah.
Nothing. Now, I took time doing my brushwork on the skin to put the texture on the skin and stuff so I can still do cool things with the rest of the model, but I didn't do any edge highlighting with a brush or anything. That's all dry brush. And you never know. Like, you look at that, and it looks like you spent a lot more time on it, like glazing, metallics and stuff. That's all dry brushed.
Well, also, Cyber, you're saying about skipping the yellow ochre when you do your Necrons. I love the yellow ochre step because I feel like the more yellow ochre you put on it, the more rusty it looks.
Right.
Like,
yeah, because remember,
really
just the dark orange becomes a little bit more like just dirt. Rust will have variations of color, which is why I like to use 3 colors to do it. Either something like mahogany, burnt orange, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, burnt orange, yellow ochre. You could use orange oxide, yellow ochre, anything you wanted to do like that. Play around with it. But I suggest 3 colors because when you dry brush over the top, you're sinking so much of those colors that they don't feel like 3 different colors, but they give you a lot of depth, right? Like the yellow just gives you a little bit of nuance to all the orange rust and gives it more depth of feel as opposed to just orange. Now on this marine, we're just doing orange because it's not really meant. It is meant to be dirt and rust and stuff, but it's not going to be the main color.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that I'm trying to do rusty metal here. It's just another good way to give kind of that dirt and the cracks feel that you would want from that grim dark, kind of embattled feeling stuff. So blue, just blue.
You said just blue.
Pants blue. Those of you that don't know, pants. People are still finding that
Sir
stuff.
Blame, he's kind of doing it. So you're asking about how that rusty metal effect looks with painted armor. He's kind of doing the same. I would say the same thing right here.
Yeah.
This is the same technique, but it's going to be more. You're going to see more of the color rather than the rust.
Yeah, I need to use a smaller brush. I want to be a little bit more focused with the color as I go brighter. I'm going to switch back down to the DD1 rather than the big one. The B-Quan. Again, I want the brush just a little bit damp here, and I'm wiping off most of it. Here, I might go in and do more of a stippling. Pop in real close.
Yep.
Because here we're got to think about things like highlighting, right? So I might just go in and kind of dabble with getting it right where I want it, like just out on the outside of this.
And describe, and this is another good segue. As you're stippling, what kind of pressure are you applying?
Very light. Very light at first, and seeing if I get any paint on there. And if the paint doesn't apply the way I want, then I do a little bit more pressure. So I'm always just kind of letting it sit on the model a little bit. This texture from stippling now has a reason to put it on there because it'll be kind of like the scratches and stuff. So gives me more to play with in that.
I was asking how your trip was.
Very good. I had a blast. I will tell you this. Poland is the most energetic place I have ever been on the planet for the hobby.
Interesting.
From a purely hobby standpoint, meaning I don't think I heard anybody there the entire time talk about gaming.
Oh, yeah, that's what you were saying. Yeah.
Not at all.
It's hobby focused.
It was paint. It was putting paint on models and having fun talking about putting paint on models with good friends.
Nice.
And I was stoked to be part of it.
That's
it
cool,
was some
man.
of the best painters in the world and new painters, all intermingled, all having great conversations about why they love painting, how they can get better at painting. You know, it was amazing. It was just a tremendous energy that I have not seen anywhere else.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, so super stoked. Always love going to new places, meeting new people around the hobby. You already share something in common, so it's very easy to start a conversation and get going.
Yeah.
And then to just see the level of energy that everybody brought to the table, their kids, it was great.
That's cool.
Absolutely great. All right, so as you can see, just focusing the brighter color along the areas where I would have more highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the next color will do that even more.
Yep.
But this side of his body gets cast into shadow just because of the torso, so I won't do as much of the bright blue on the other side. So this is where you have to start thinking about color placement a little bit more. But again, if you're just wanting to paint quick, like I can do a little bit at the top of this knee pad over here. Maybe get a little bit in here. And maybe just a hair on the toe. But I don't want to brighten up that leg too much because I want it to be thrown into darkness.
Yep.
Same with the inside of this shin and thigh. Leave that alone. This is cloth on his belly and such. So I'm going to come over here and...
Joshua Lee says, you painting Marines for your new army?
No.
For a new army?
No.
Just paint Marines.
Just
I like
paint
it.
a Marine. I just figured it'd be cool to walk through and show people a quick way to do up some Ultramarines in a really gritty style that will look really great on the tabletop without a whole lot of effort.
Derpstick says, my Marine scheme is clean, no grim or battle damage, so before warm gray, what would be a good color since I'm going with a clean look? Highlight color is bright neutral gray.
Well, I mean, something like the dark gray blue I'm using here, blue tends to make things look cleaner.
Payne's gray could be good.
Payne's gray could be really good, give you a darker shadow that way. So those are all great choices. Think in terms of like greens, browns, yellows tend to make things look dirty, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas blues, darker grays, I mean, you could stick with gray and not underpaint it at all, could look really clean. You don't have to have you know, a variation of color in your underpaint. If I were going to do it, purples and blues. You know me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the king of purple shadows, and purple works underneath everything. It may be a little bit too warm for the gray you're trying to pull off, so I would test it to see what it looks like, how you like it at the end. That could work.
Cyberspy says, I used, oh, you're talking about your version of the rusty metal. I used magnesium instead of dark silver.
Yep.
I like it because it looks more like bronze copper, but when I dry brush it on, should I cover everywhere?
The first layer when doing that rusty metal base needs to have really good coverage. You're trying to leave enough of the rust showing to still pull that feel off.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful not to jab it into all the bottom. See, like I've already done 2 colors of blue, but if you pop in close, you'll still see that my orange is still showing through in like the deeper recesses of all of this. So you just want to make sure you don't cover it all up completely.
Yeah. Cyberspy, I have, going off of what Jason said, I have been heavy-handed with it and wish I was lighter-handed with it.
Remember, you can layer it up.
Just to see the rust come out, yeah.
Yeah, remember that you can layer all of it up. So, you know, take your time and start with it light and then do another layer if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key with everything is go lighter, thinner than you think you might want, and then layer it up, because do it twice to get perfection is much better than doing it once and overdoing it.
Yes, I've felt like I'm like, gosh darn it, I should have just been lighter. So, plus the silver, when you do the silver step, when you just do the edges, that comes out great. It's such a good, fun technique. Pop Chicken says, very excited to see how Jason handles the other colors on this while keeping the undercoats. I'm imagining you're meaning undertones, Papa Chicken. But we'll take the undercoats. Speaking of undercoats, welcome in, everybody. It is 2:40 p.m. on a beautiful Monday, which feels like a Wednesday.
Does it?
It kind of does.
Wow.
I don't know. My days are all over the place right now in my mind. Jason is doing some Ultramarines. Giving you a good classic workup here. He just got back. We're glad to have him back. You know, we're glad to have him back. That's what the teleprompter says.
Oh, here we go.
There it is.
Here we go.
Northrex. Yeah, Chris, it feels like the middle of the week for some reason. Yeah. This last couple of weeks have been long ones, but we're here. Trying to get paint on the model.
I'm putting paint on the model. I put a lot of paint on the model.
You are. This is some of the fastest, beautiful painting I've seen Jason do.
Hey, whoa. Fastest, maybe.
Fast. No, let me not say fastest, but just like there's a lot of paint today.
Yes.
When it's awesome. This kind of stuff, I don't know about you all, but this kind of like these kinds of techniques make me want to start painting like right now. Because you're seeing it come to life in 40 minutes? And you don't have it makes your whole army of Space Marines not so daunting.
Yeah, and I'm spending more time on this than I really should.
Which is cool. Like even this, you know, if you had 20, 40 of these dudes, it definitely
you'd have like in an afternoon, you'd have them all base coated perspective. Blue. You could have all of these colors done on an entire army in just an afternoon,
and then go back and do details, which would be cool. What's up, Wad?
And like I said, let's not fool ourselves. The easiest way to do this is an airbrush, right?
Sure.
But the airbrush won't give you this same level of control necessarily as easy with these colors to do this underpainting with the grit and grime. So there is that, right? Yeah. So we got to be, careful when we say that you can do that. But look, I mean, that's already a pretty good looking start for an Ultramarine.
It's awesome.
And I'm using what the dry brush does well in this case with the stippling, and it gives you kind of an uneven pattern of stipple. to bake in texture and weathering
Yeah.
for a war-torn, marine armor. You could dry brush this with a more traditional stroke and just keep your brush strokes very short so that you don't get brightness in the shadows.
Yeah.
You could do that too. And you could get rid of a lot of the stippled texture that I'm coming up with here. But I want him to be war-torn, beat up.
I love it.
All right. Bingo. Blue. Now sky blue. Same thing. Same brush.
Now, did you clean it with water?
Just water.
In between each step? Somebody was asking that.
I got it a little more damp each time because if it's too dry, you get too many dots. You deliver more texture the drier the dry brush is. So I keep it a little bit damp so that when you put paint on it and you smudge, it does that smudge. It gives more of a blended smack on the model, if you will, and you just get the texture towards the outside of where you put the paint. A little bit of smudging in the middle, but it's not going to be like if you do like a sponge paint. If you dry the dry brush off entirely and hit it against the surface, it just gives you a bunch of dots. And that's really highly textured. So keeping the brush a little bit damp, make sure that you get a little bit smoother blend.
Gotcha.
That's really the only difference.
Mondo and Punisher, thank you so much for those subs. 56 months for Punisher and
Holy
Mondo,
cow.
4 months.
Holy cow.
Thank you all. We
Thank you,
appreciate
thank you.
that.
So now some sky blue.
This is going to be a fun jump, I feel like.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty bright. And still leave us room for white blue as a highlight, right? So that's the thing. When we do the brush for the detailed edges, we still want to be able to have a bright enough color there.
Yeah.
So again, using the DD1, so I have a nice small, ish kind of a thing. You could go in with a regular paintbrush on this next step if you wanted to and detail it. I'm just going to use this and just be very careful. Because the thing is, as you go brighter, you're going to want to put it into smaller and smaller areas. So I'll kind of check down here on the low spots how the paint is coming off. And if I don't like it 100%, then I can bob and weave and change it. But I'm going to use a little bit more of a traditional dry brush stroke here at first.
Yeah, Joshua Lee, it was black primer, then burnt sienna, then dark gray blue, and then blue, and then now he's using sky blue.
Sky blue. Dark gray blue, blue and sky blue. Right, and like I said, this first time, just using a kind of a standard dry brush stroke with this, with the domed dry brush, when you just use a paintbrush stroke like this, it's going to cover more area on the model. So.
D. Schmidt says, chat fam, I need to brag a bit. I painted 18 models today.
What?
Fair and terrible Whiz Kids models painted with speed paints, but 18. Wow.
No freaking way.
T. Schmidt, that's a lot.
Too much.
You're pulling you're pulling a game delay.
Too many.
Nice. Heck, you could do this. You could do this with any Legion or color scheme.
Any color scheme
you wanted.
Any color scheme you want. 1,000,000%. This is not just an Ultramarine thing. This is a paint fast thing.
You could do this with any Legion or
what
any
do you want to do?
Specific scheme.
We got you.
Anakin Sky Humpy just ordered some more paints. Make the mail system hurry up, please. Glad you got some more paint, Sky Humper. Joseph says, I'm working on 30 poxwalkers. Yep, I feel ya. I'm all into the horde armies.
Yeah.
Well, it's either hordes or 4 models.
I was gonna say you skirt that line. You've got like the super elite armies that are just like 4 giants.
Yep, that's it. Or 120
or 180 million models.
Yeah,
that all are super weak, but I just can't clear them off the board in time to win.
I love that though. I love the tar pits. I love them. They're so annoying, but they're so fun. I think it's fun for my opponents too when they have I just killed 25 of your models.
Yeah. There's
an upside to it for my opponent. Chance loves it when he's like, oh, I just killed 35 zombies. That feels thematic. Becky said, I did my first nude painting today. Neighbors weren't happy, but my porch looks great. Nice. Good for you.
So good.
Cyber Spy, no sorries needed. We love the questions. Sorry, another question. I did order the DD3 to do the Method 27. I do find it's hard that. Okay, let me reread this. I do find it hard that to put paint on the brush, I should water the paint down to better apply it. Let me reread your question again. Yeah, okay, I get what you're trying to say. Should I water the paint down to better apply on the brush?
No. You want to have a little bit of dampness on the brush, not the paint. That makes sense? You don't want to water the paint. You want a little bit of dampness on the brush. So I'm putting a little bit of dampness on my brush. Then I dry it a little bit. It's still a little wet. Then I go into the water or into the paint. And then I take the paint off like I would a standard dry brush mentality. But now it's going to flow a little bit better off the brush. Right? Because I'm not trying to just catch edges when I do this, or when you're doing the, like the metal. I want it to deliver better paint than a normal dry brush will. And so you got to be a little bit more careful with the way you thin the paint. You just don't want the paint to be super thin.
Lumberjack Tim said, you guys remember about a month ago, I was ready to quit painting because of my shakes. I quit caffeine, and my shakes aren't nearly as bad now. Nice.
You quit caffeine?
Quit caffeine, and my shakes aren't nearly as bad now.
I love it.
Awesome. Derpstick says, could we do this with any brush? At least with the base coating stage. I got the size 6 synthetic for base coating, and I do have the DD2.
Yeah, I mean, you could use the DD2 for everything that you've seen me do. I used a DD3 just because it gives a little bit more coverage at the beginning when I'm doing the base coat thing, but you could use that for any of them. And your base coat with like the burnt sienna could be done with any brush.
Yeah, because that was pretty much all over though too. So, but even on that save, there was still a little bit of black that showed up, but just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little dark.
Oh, this is looking fancy,
right?
Lumberjack says, "Fuse, I took straight edge to a new level."
Uh-oh. You took caffeine away? Is that what you're trying to say?
Hey, that's probably not a bad decision. Orky Fish. All right, Jason's back. Thank goodness. Hey, whoa.
See? Appreciation right
Orky, there. Hey, come on. You all enjoyed me painting that dragon. I know you did. You said it. We were on Discovery Mission 101 with that bad boy. I was throwing paint around. I was trying expert acrylics. Orky, you know you liked it. I know you did. You have a stream with Dark Angels as well. Alex asks.
I mean, we've painted a bunch of Dark Angels before.
Way back, but not in this particular method, right?
Probably not.
Well, heck, like we were saying earlier, Alex, you could do the same thing, just switch up the colors.
Yeah, everything here, don't worry about color. Like I tell that to people all the time, is that when you see me doing something, worry more about the technique I'm teaching you than the colors I'm using, and realize that if you can pick any combo that goes from dark to light, you can recreate everything I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple. That's the way it works.
Papa Chicken says, I've recently started exploring the Munsell color system and it's not really clicking for me. Is that something you're familiar with enough to be able to explain it?
Nah.
Munsell? Never heard of it. Cyber Spy says, so dampen the brush first. Do not wet it. Add paint on brush. Then make sure there's not
much paint
too
on the
much
brush.
paint to dry and simple. Is that right?
You got it.
Yeah, you got it, Cyber. Nice. It's classic. I like it. I like this color. Heck, for all of you who got those Space Wolf box, you could probably do the same thing.
Yeah, you very well could. Just use a little bit more grayish
blue.
colors. Yeah.
Very cool. The red brown is burnt sienna.
Yep.
A mold. It's burnt sienna. Burnt sienna, dark gray blue, sky blue, and black primer. And if you haven't used our black primer, you're missing out.
It's amazeballs.
It's awesome stuff. It really makes this kind of stuff really pop too.
Oh, 100%.
Because anything you put on it, it's gonna pop. If you pop a chicken saying, just winging it here, we love it when you wing it. But if you were to start over again from Dark Angels, would dark plum be a good color instead of burnt sienna? Why?
Sure.
Or why not?
Yeah, dark plum would work really well. I like the Payne's grade to dark plum to red that I've done on my Blood Angels. So you could use the same thing with this technique. Remember that it's not about color, it's the technique. You want to make sure when dry brushing like this that you don't do colors that are too similar in value. So you don't want to use colors like your first layer, like the burnt sienna to the blue, can be very similar. That works. What you want to avoid is getting too close. Like you might like your blends to typically be colors that are closer together so that they match and you can blend better. But with this technique, you want to avoid that. You want to make bigger jumps between each color. Because of how the paint application will cause you to lose definition of the previous color if the next one is the same brightness, if that makes sense to you.
Tech says, or Louise is ultramarine blue, question mark?
You could use ultramarine blue. What, for ultramarines?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, ultramarines are not ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is a pigment, right? Ultramarines are just a name, like awesome Marines.
I was just about to say.
That's not meant to be ultramarine as in the blue color. I don't think they ever have been. They've actually been more of a cobalt blue, right? Which is more like our true blue paint. But you can do whatever you want.
Joshua says, so out of curiosity, what method do you guys use to sort out paints? I just have ordered the rest of the expansion sets. I've been missing out and not sure how to sort them. Joshua, I can't help you there.
Well, we have at our studio.
Personally, I can't because I'm a messy. I'll just throw them
That's me too.
Throw them on the table.
Here, we have them done by hue.
Yeah.
So we have a chart on the website that's a PDF you can download that has all of our colors by hue. Is that up there yet? Did they finish that?
Yes,
the new one?
I believe so.
I think they got the new one done that has the amp colors in it too. And so you have a chart on our website that has all the Proacryl colors listed by hue. And you can just do that, repeat that.
Color chart. Actually, I'm going to look at that really quick.
It works really well.
I have the website up.
A lot of people do them by number, SKU number. That works too.
This is looking great, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, pop in close. That's, we still have the orange, the dirty orange in the shadows.
Yeah.
Right? So we've got nice value on him. Right? We've got texture for being beat up by doing that stippling with the highlight color on there.
He's beautiful.
Right? So you're on your way.
He's a beautiful man.
Allows us to do and, create a neat effect very, very quickly. And, you can keep adjusting it. I'm trying to show you how you can paint with, the most basic of knowledge, right? The tools that you learn, hopefully, fairly quickly when painting, like dry brushing, are very valuable tools when you know how to continue to expand them, I think is the right way to say it, right? They don't have to be limiting. It's not just a, hey, noob kind of a tool. They can do really good work, right? All right, now...
Cyber, our brush goop is the best way to clean your brushes right there, that link.
Yeah. We'll take a little bit of white blue. White blue.
Nice. Orky says, that looks good. I don't understand dry brushing.
What about it? What do you mean you don't understand it? Technique that initially surrounds the idea of pulling details out of a model, like on the side of a tank.
Yeah.
Right? So when we did the dry brushing
Well, actually,
on our tank video,
well, it's so funny you mentioned that. We also have a dry brushing fundamentals video coming out soon too.
right? So you've got the ability to like pull all these rivets, out with a dry brush. I used a flat dry brush instead of the domed on this because it just catches edges alone a lot better. So, you can dry brush and pull out all those highlights on a surface like the side of a tank that isn't all like Space Marine armor panels. There's not a lot of panels to outline. So you can just dry brush from the direction of your light with each brush stroke, and you deliver a bright color across all the edges and high surfaces on the model, but not along the flat surfaces. So that's really what it's developed for.
Yeah, Orky says, does the paint need to be dry? I mean, I wait for it to dry, then it stops working, then I just go for it, and it's too wet.
So, yes, it is 100% you getting used to the consistency of the paint. Now, what I'll tell you is that for edges, for what I'm doing here, you want it wetter. Right? Because I'm covering whole areas. I'm not really. Now, if I want to just go in and dry, okay, let's take like our BAB here, and let's get the B. Well, let's not do it with the BAB. That's a little aggressive. Let's get a DA1. If I can find one over here, there should be one hanging out somewhere. DA1, right? So I got a DA1, right? Small angled dry brush. Let's take it. I'll just get it a little bit damp just because it's never been used. This one's brand new. Then I'll dry it off. Get a little bit of paint on it, right? So I want to get enough paint to be able to go up in the bristles like that. Then I'll take my napkin, wipe nearly all of it off, right? So it's dry. There's not wet paint. It's not going to leave marks. But now I can go in and basically barely take that dry brush across the edges, right?
You come down a little, Jason. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
and see how it grabs that thigh plate and that knee? And then I can just look for areas like the back of this shin guard to grab that, the top of this hinge doohickey here.
So good.
Right? And then like maybe the outside of the foot. And I'm using super light pressure just to pick up that edge. Right? I can do it like the flat one here, kind of just really quick, punchy brush strokes. I kind of smack the brush into the model along the line and then pull down.
Yeah.
Right? Just very purposefully into that middle of that line and then pull down so I can grab that edge and then kind of feather some brightness right there at the top of it like that.
Where's Orky's question? Yeah, I think that hopefully that answers your question, Orky. It's fun.
So it's really just about making sure you don't have so much paint that when you do that, it leaves big streaks on the model, of course, because that's the problem that you run into sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? But then you just keep doing it. I don't get the brush wet again if I'm just doing edges. I just put some paint on there, wipe the paint off, and then try to keep the brush to where I'm only angling it to hit the edges. I don't want it to hit big open surfaces, so I just kind of put it where it will only grab the edge. Always moving it in the same direction so that if I'm hitting my light from the top on the model, then I'm always making sure that the brush only hits the model from top down. That's the most imperative thing I can tell you.
Yeah. Orky says, I'll just keep trying.
Yeah.
I feel like dry brushing mistakes hurt more.
Well, yeah, because they kind of smudge paint across the model in a way that doesn't feel very good. I was going to do this with a brush, but now you got me dry brushing it, so thank you. Because I think this is really just going to show off even better how simple it is to pull this, this nice model off without working too hard, right? So again, just make sure I don't have much paint on there. Very light pressure. Like I'm barely hitting the model right now until I start seeing the way the paint flows. I was telling somebody this in Poland, is that painting is difficult to really teach proficiently because there's an aspect of painting that is a thing of feel that I can't necessarily teach everyone how to feel the way paint moves.
Yeah.
Right? When I talk that way, it sounds very hippy-dippy. It's not. It's the fact that paint comes off the brush in a specific way. And you need to be able to be tuned to that to know that, okay, when I press hard, I get big, thick lines. When I don't press hard at all, I barely get any paint. Somewhere in the middle is what I'm looking for. How do I make sure I can control that and tell my brain that, okay, I don't want a ton of paint right now. So what does my hand need to do to make sure I don't just get a ton of paint? Right? That's a feel thing. When I would teach people to weld, one of the hardest things in the world is teaching people to work with metal. because most people don't understand that metal, when you heat it up, becomes almost a liquid, and it moves like a liquid.
Yeah.
It moves like a tray of sand when you're grinding metal. It moves in waves, and you can see the waves of metal moving along the grain of metal, which it has, not quite as abrupt as wood, but it is very similar in the way it's done, especially like cold rolled steel and stuff.
Yeah.
And so you've got a grain to it, and you need to work with the grain. And most people couldn't get that in their head. They're like, it's metal. I just want to grind an edge flat, and then it would look bad. And so it's very difficult to learn that feel, because you have to be looking for something that doesn't feel natural to look for necessarily. So the reason I bring that up is because here, I'll just kind of lightly brush the model and see how much color I'm getting with a light pressure. And if I'm not getting enough, I push harder, right? You don't start with a hard amount of pressure, because then that sets you up for failure. It could get way too much paint in an area and wind up with that problem that you were mentioning, So I'll just kind of lightly hit the edges.
Yeah.
And if I'm not getting enough paint, press a little harder.
The DD1's really good for this stuff. I always forget about that one.
DD1?
Yeah, just
the
like
DA1.
I'm sorry, DA1.
The DA1 that I'm using is great for edges and final highlights. Right?
Yeah.
Remember, flat dry brushes for edges, dome dry brushes for flat surfaces. Doesn't make sense, but I wouldn't use this brush necessarily to do like this whole upper surface. I just want to do the part that catches the edges, because of the way the bristles go in a very uniform manner across a surface with a flat brush. Whereas with the dome brush, they don't. They cover more surface area and have different varying lengths of bristle.
Gotcha. I think that's why sometimes I'll get smudges sometimes.
You will get smudges with a dome dry brush, because more of the bristles are at different lengths and hit the model at different times.
Right.
So even if you go at the edge, some of the bristles still hit the open spot. Whereas with this one, once it's done hitting the edge, the brush is done. There's no girth to it.
Right.
Right? So I can come in here and just grab that edge. Grab the top
great.
surface here. Grab that. Right? Get that edge there, and I don't pull any paint onto the front surface unless I push harder and change the angle of my brush, because I want to brighten this edge up a little bit like that. Right? So you can do a lot of work with it. You just have to kind of angle the brush so that I know that I'm only going to hit this edge. Or if I want to do a stroke across there, rotate the model a little bit more so that I hit the edge and pull paint across the surface.
Interesting. Yeah, I really like that white blue with that edge highlight.
Oh, it's perfect. It's just the match made in heaven.
It's great. Speaking of a match made in heaven,
welcome everyone.
Welcome in everyone, all of you, us, we the people, painting up Ultramarines this week with Jason. We are so glad you've chosen Monument Hobbies for your viewing pleasure this afternoon. It is a beautiful 100 degrees here in Phoenix. We are at our cruising altitude of on the ground.
Of exactly 1,000 feet above sea level.
And we're so glad you are here. If you have questions, please tag Monument. Cyber says, so before I leave, when using the dirty metal method, I add silver at the end where it says to hit the high spots. Yes.
Yep.
When you all say high spots, do you mean like edge specifically on Necrons, ?
Well, they might have like a chin or a bolt. When we say high spots, it's literally physically the high spots. Like, see that skull?
Yeah.
Zoom in real close. That's a high spot because it sticks off proud to the rest of the hand. So the dry brush is going to pick that skull up before it hits the hand. So I'm going to have to rotate the dry brush and use it more like a paintbrush to catch the rest of that edge of that hand like this.
Yep.
Right? To brighten up the edge of the glove there underneath. Because the dry brush is going to hit the high spot naturally if you use it right. So that's what I mean. Rivets, right? But you want to focus on the top end of the model where the light's coming from, and then make sure that it just gets the high spots. Now, I won't use the flat dry brush on the shoulder because the shoulder is not an edge. It has no edges. The only thing the flat dry brush would do is streak paint at the top and then catch the edge of this thing right here, right? If I wanted to do that, but that's not going to be blue. But it would catch that edge, but it wouldn't catch the edge up here very well. So I'm not going to use this brush to do that. I can catch this bottom edge a little bit if I want, like so. Right?
Wad says Vince calls them the sticky outy bits.
Sticky outy bits, you got it.
Yeah, that's great.
Good way to note it. Same thing, I won't do the flat surface up here. Even though it has this little door where I could probably get some detail, I will catch too much paint because it's not a deep enough detail on the model. So I'd catch too much of the bright paint on the flat surface, which I don't want. And notice how, even though I've been doing this for a while, this brush is still delivering paint.
Well, yeah.
I just got to press a little bit harder. And it will start to get a little bit more dusty.
Yes.
Right? As the paint dries in the dry brush, a lot of people complain that dry brushing leaves a physical texture on the model. It leaves more texture the longer you leave the paint in the brush, because the brush loads up with what is basically a powder paint now. And every time you whisk it across the model, a little puffy cloud of paint, and that paint will still cling to the model and dry, cure the rest of the way, and give you a texture. So try not to run your dry brush completely devoid of paint, right? Go back, dampen it up a little bit every now and then. Go back and get some more paint, wipe it all off. You see me, I'm hitting it on my hand here just to make sure I don't have any clumps of paint, because one of the most frustrating things with a dry brush is there's a little clump in one of the bristles and you go like this, boop, and it gives you one big splotch.
Yes.
That you weren't expecting. That can be a real pain in the butt.
I've done that so many times.
Yeah, that can be a real pain in the butt. It's unexpected every time. There's no way to plan for it. It hurts. Doesn't make you feel very good.
But what if I stab the model instead, says Avian. Don't stab your models.
Mean.
Don't do that.
Mean.
Looking good.
I do believe so. And you know, I mean, you're talking about doing this quick. Like, we're spending more time talking than we are painting as usual.
No.
And you still get a really good look at it.
That's okay. Stabbing is just a more violent form of stippling. I guess that is correct, Mo, technically. Stabbing is just a more violent form of stippling. That would be the case.
All right. That's looking pretty good. Then we got to get the DD1, the small dome dry brush again. This guy.
Okay.
Right? Or a regular brush, but we're going to do it with this because I've been using dry brushes. Why stop now? Oh. Now it's the shtick of the model is that we're just painting everything with dry brushes.
It's all right.
Again, same way. Get a little bit damp, load it with paint, unload the paint, make sure I don't have any big blotches, and then come over here. And with this one, I can kind of, you know, stab the model.
Stab the stipple. And you took off a lot of paint here.
Oh, a ton.
Right.
Yeah,
just
because on this open area, I don't want big, unwanted, bright brush strokes.
Right.
So this lets me just kind of build it up over time real quick and set the highlight the way I want it.
Yep.
Till it kind of matches well with what I'm trying to do.
Melee Games, thank you for that sub. Appreciate it. Cyber, absolutely. I'm glad we were able to answer your questions. You're very welcome. That's what we're here for. That's why we do this. Never in question. Paint on the model. Avian, stippling is very therapeutic. Yes, it is. So is dry brushing for me. I like dry brushing. Makes me feel right.
Gets to beat the model. He's a pugilist, this guy.
Beat the model. What was the last blue that went on? It is white blue.
Yeah, just white blue.
White blue. Nice. Meat Treat says, just got my set of Dauntless brushes. Can't wait to give them a try in a few moments. Nice. Very nice.
I love them. They're a neat, low cost, low pressure. Doesn't feel bad to do whatever you want to with them brush. You know?
Yep.
Sometimes I feel bad beating the crap out of brushes. My poor dry brushes. They're like the only brush where you're like, I bought these to destroy. You know, and the rest of your brushes, for some reason, you know, always feel bad if you're having to do something like, you know, a bunch of stippling and things like that. And I'm like, I should never feel bad about the paint technique I need to use to get the thing right. So I should always have a brush I can reach for that isn't just a cheap dime store brush, you know, or a cheap freaking Walmart $5 for 20 style brush that really doesn't give you any wear.
I've
Doesn't
been using them.
Doesn't load or unload paint correctly. A lot of people fail to realize that the cheaper the brush, the worse of a job it does actually delivering paint to the model and drawing paint into the bristles. Those are two very big functions for a brush that you can't not have. So there you go. So now we get that kind of dome blend on the highlight there on the shoulder. It works a lot better with the dome dry brush rather than the flat one.
To summarize Cricken's question here, I don't use dry brushing because of the grainy look. Used it when I started, but very quickly decided to buy an airbrush, then paint it with a brush. So is there a way to get it less grainy? More damp brush, question mark?
Yeah, a little bit damper, a little bit lighter application. Change the paint on the brush a little more often, right? Don't let it get to where it's drying out in the bristles quite as much. Those are all the tricks, right? I mean, zoom in real close.
Yep.
Right, you'll see that you're still going to get a texture. But when doing it on a Space Marine, I'm trying to make sure that the texture feels more like the grime and beat up nature of the armor, and less of just the dry brush being done too heavy.
Yeah,
that's the big kicker.
Yeah.
So I'm digging this.
Oh, it's looking great.
I'm digging this.
Those models feel good in the hand. They're hefty but they're not too big. I like that size.
Terminators like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never painted one, so.
All right, now wash. What? Yes.
You're gonna wash it?
Yeah, that's what we do.
What are you gonna wash it with?
Payne's Gray.
Payne's Gray. That's what I did with my orcs yesterday.
I think some Payne's Gray.
So no worries. Sorry for it wasn't very relevant to the piece. No, that's okay.
What do you mean?
Yeah, no, you.
What does Soul Siege?
Yeah, I don't see your question.
Doesn't have to be relevant to what we're doing.
Oh, it's way up here.
Ask about anything.
What kind of light do you use to consistently paint with, like warm or cold or neutral? Oh, yeah. Sorry, definitely tag me, Soul Siege. I'm sorry. So we use this is a daylight bulb in here. I prefer daylight.
It's the best way.
5600 Kelvin.
It's going to be the one that gets you the closest to everyday light that you'll look at the model in most cases. If you spend too much time getting something specific to your studio with a particular lighting temperature that you feel makes your painting look good, you will always be disappointed when you take your model anywhere other than your studio. Yeah. So work with the most fundamental generic coloring of a lamp, which that 56K is about, right? 5600?
Mm-hmm, just about. It's a little less blue than your daylight, but still it's less warm than the 4000. So that 5600 is a really nice spot. It's more universal.
Okay, so you'll notice I'm thinning this. I want to make sure that I am really low opacity to begin with here, right? Our washes, the Payne's Gray wash is pretty intense, right? It's going to give us a nice blue, right? So it's going to match in our color scheme, which is good, but I don't want it to completely overtake my oranginess in the shadows, right? So I want to make sure that it isn't going to be hyper opaque. And then we're just going to do this. Bloop.
Cyber, you'd have to be a little bit more specific if you were thinking about a paint scheme you were looking for Seraphon. You'd have to kind of ask what colors are you thinking? A little broad. What colors are you thinking? Tyre, yes, it's a wash. It's just the Payne's Gray wash. That's what the difference is. It's from the amp line. The Payne's Gray wash.
Oh, it's so good.
That's great.
Holy cow, Payne's Gray wash is the best thing since sliced bread. The Payne's Gray and the magenta wash are just tremendous in that line.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely tremendous. And our washes work so well that I can just blop it on here. I don't even care.
And this is 50-50 right now, you think?
Dilution? Yeah, probably.
A little 50-50?
Something like that. You know, about 50-50 glaze wash, medium to wash, and then water to finish it. This is going to give a little bit of vibrancy to the blue because of the blue and the Payne's Gray. It's going to darken up my shadows, but because I diluted it, it won't get rid of all the orange, right? And it's going to smooth out a little bit of the texture that we talked about that comes from dry brushing. Because remember, filters have a tendency to really do a great job of blending and smoothing textures.
I'm going to zoom in
and
a
again,
little bit there.
This is literally nothing any single one of you can't do.
Yeah, looks great.
Like, legit, I haven't done a single thing today that is
rocket science.
Rocket science, dude. I'm literally just loading the brush up and painting it across the surface, and look at that. Bro, it's freaking magic, bro.
Look at that.
Come on.
Now, I think that's what I should have did, Jason. I should have added some glaze, a little bit of glaze and wash to my Payne's Gray wash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to dilute it a little bit. Your models got really dark.
I just forget about that. I just need to dilute it a little bit. I get lazy.
So this is a piece of it. Listen to Chris right now. A piece of wisdom that I can give you that you should keep in the front of your mind all the time when painting. Always start thinner or lighter than you want, because you can always layer it back up to get where you want to be. You can never take paint away.
Yeah.
You can't erase what you've done. So if you start too dark, guess what? It's dark. It's going to be too dark forever. It doesn't change.
Yep.
Right? So if you don't want to, if you're worried about it, or maybe you're not worried about it at the time of painting, you're just like, oh, this is the perfect color, and you grab the color and you want to paint with it. That's great. But think back to the last time you did something like that, and you're like, oh yeah, but it was too dark that last time. What did Jason tell me to do?
Yeah.
Well, Jason told you that what you got to do is start lighter than you expect it to be, because then you can move to wherever you want to just by layering it back up, whether it's a wash, a filter, glaze, just a normal layer of paint. Who cares, right? All of it's the same. Start a little bit lighter. You'll be happier in the end, right? And by lighter, I mean, like, you know, I've gone through and thinned this wash down, and look at how great that is. That's going to make it look like we have spent a tremendous more time blending this model than we have. I'm doing all this without my glasses on.
I was just about to notice that. I'm like, where's your glasses at?
I hope I'm doing it right. Oh, now it doesn't look so good. No, it doesn't. But
and Artistic Outlaw, going back to your question, that's kind of like what he was describing. How much do you have to worry about pooling in details with the mix of the wash?
Nah.
Also, can you wash neat without dilution? If you're, it's kind of like what I was just talking about.
100% you can. It's going to be darker. You're going to have more opacity, more color intensity. You know, it's gonna, I'm slopping it on right here. I hope you can see that, right? So I'm not even caring about it, because the way our washes work is, number one, they don't pool too badly, and when they do, they dry to a really nice consistency.
Yeah.
Right?
The glaze and
I'm not
wash
worried about it. The glazed wash medium makes that even better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, right, this gets me back down to the blue that I wanted for my Ultramarines. So I was able to go a little bit brighter with my highlights, because now this kind of puts me back where I wanted to be.
That's the other thing too. I'm like, I go too dark, and then I wash it, and then it's really dark. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right?
Go brighter. I should have gone brighter.
You really have to make sure when doing any kind of a filter that you go brighter than you want the model to look before applying the filter. Because the filter, no matter what you do, if you do a yellow filter, it's going to darken the model up, right? Yeah. There is no filter that will brighten the model up. Even a white filter hides detail, right? Now pop in real close. Now this isn't dry yet, but look at this leg, right? So now the detail is only, you know, the smudging and effect of the dry brush is really just the texture I put on there from the stipple to make it look like scratched armor, right? That starts to blend it better. Like I said, this now starts to look like we spent a lot more time on this just with the wash.
Yeah.
Right? Bang. And you can see it's loaded up and pretty heavy right there where it's... But it won't dry with a drip or anything. Our washes are literally game changers if you haven't used them. I don't paint with washes a lot, and so in order for us to even make washes, they had to work differently than other people's washes. Because the reason I don't paint with a lot of washes is because they typically pool in the wrong area. When they dry, they're splotchy and cloudy. I don't like any of that. So when we made these washes, it had to be something that was smooth, and it might not be as intense as some of the washes that you want to get out there, like a Nuln Oil or something, but with 2 coats it is. But it's smoother, and it actually does work for you by smoothing your blends out, making the model look better, as opposed to just making the model look quick. You know, like, oh, I didn't have time to actually paint this, so I splashed a wash on it.
Pento's asking, can you, I'm I'm assuming you mean explain. Can you explain a couple of words to how to make the glaze and wash? Can you explain in a couple of words how to make the glaze and wash, Pinto? I'm assuming you're talking about making
How to make,
a wash.
like what I did to mix it?
Yeah.
So this was just half Payne's Gray wash, which is already a wash. I just want to thin it. But instead of using water to thin it, which keeps makes the wash less viscous, makes it more runny when I just thin it with water. So I put the glazed wash medium in here about half and half, about 1-to-1 glazed wash medium, because glazed wash medium is thick like paint. So it keeps the wash thicker, and then a little bit of water. It's a habit. You don't have to, but a little bit of water thins it down a little bit, but doesn't make it super runny. So while it still flows into recesses really nice, it gives it a nice sheeting effect, which gives me the filter all over the model, even though I thinned it down. Right? Notice how the color has changed? Right? That Payne's Gray, what it did is it drew all the blue out of the Payne's Gray by doing it this way. So it gives me a nice blue filter, which pulls all my blues together. Right? Doesn't cover up any of my dry brushing. All my edges are still there. All my highlighting is still there. So it still has a really good lighting effect and volume to the model.
Yeah.
Right? And boom. And that's also why you always want to highlight before you wash. Not always, but in cases like this, I highlight so that when I put the wash on, it darkens the highlight down too and pulls it all together. And then I go back with a brush and you'll see me do the white blue again on the edges, which will make it really just come alive. So while it seems like an extra step, I mean, come on, this is what? This is an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes of me yapping. So probably really more like 45 minutes of actually painting. Yeah. Right? And you've got really good armor.
Well, and also just the, I don't know. It's that smudge brushing, that way of getting to this kind of a level so quickly, so easily, and it really just sums it all down for you.
Yeah, for people that are, for anybody. Like I've been painting over 45 years, and for me, I do a whole army this way and wouldn't have a problem with it because at the end of the day, it'll look great. I can spend as much time as I want on the details.
Yeah.
I can still do non-metallic metal on all the gold stuff if I wanted to. We're not going to. We're going to use metallics, just so Chris doesn't freak out. We're going to use metallics.
Really?
We're going to use metallic paints. I'm going to show you how to do really cool, quick metallic paints. So we're going to do metallic paints. And show you how you can literally turn out an army super quick this way that all looks really robust, has good volumes to it, because generally you do like zenithal highlight and speed paints and they look like garbage, but they have color on them. I mean, that's really the reality. The speed paints don't look very good unless you spend a tremendous amount of time, which defeats the purpose. So this adds speed into your painting especially because you're using the dry brush to use the effect of dry brush, which is that grainy kind of textured application of paint. Use it in the right places. Use it for beat up armor. Use it for trees and rocks and ground and all the things that need a texture to them. And then all of a sudden you get so much work out of it that would take you hours and hours and hours to do with sponge, to create the texture on your paint. And here you can do it super quick. So
Derpstick has a question. Question for building up white. Could I start with dark ivory and then finish it off with transparent white? I'm painting flag colors with white stripes on them.
Yeah, that would be a neat kind of like a dirty white.
Yeah.
I say dirty. It wouldn't quite be like dirty parchment white, but yeah, it would be a really nice, like linen white. Yeah, the ivories are great for that because they have just enough yellow to them to give it that warmth of like a cloth.
Yeah.
It isn't like brand new, crisp, bleached white.
I think a good takeaway from all that too was like what you're saying, where you start thin and then work up. Like it's okay to start thin.
Never be afraid of doing 2 layers.
I need to remind myself.
Don't do 15 layers because that creates its own problems.
Yeah.
But I always say it's better to do it in 2 layers than to try to get it done in 1 for most things. Yeah. Edge highlights, not the case. With an edge highlight, I try to do it all in one because you're spending so much time with the fiddly lines and details. If you have to go over the same exact line multiple times, it can get old.
Yeah.
So you start going to more opaque paint when you do your highlights, which we'll do here in a minute.
Yep.
But for everything else, multiple layers is the way to go. And by multiple, 2 to 3 is max. You don't see me glaze more than 2 to 3 layers of anything. It just is a waste of time. You need to learn how to control your paint to get the bulk of color out of it, but lower the opacity with like our glaze wash medium or just water like you see me do a lot. And then just do 1 or 2 brush strokes. That's why the expert acrylics are such a banger, because you can literally get in 1 coat of glaze, everything done. I showed you that with the Armor Lady model, right? When we did her, and it was like literally...
She's down there.
It was like 1 pass, and we turned the armor from chrome to like a greenish yellow.
Yep, that video is...
Magical steel, which was cool.
Right here, actually, if you guys need a video to watch, this one is great.
Here, dude, what's going on? Blending on skulls with neutral gray, dark ivory, and black wash. Yeah.
Nice.
The brown gray wash is great for that too.
That's a great take. I've been afraid of overwashing.
Yep.
That's it. I do that all the time. I constantly have to remind myself to just, it's okay. You can always go back.
Yeah, like go back in, pop in close.
Yep.
Right. Notice where that pool had pooled up. Look how even that dried. No pooling of paint. Nothing along that butt plate.
Because you also say you sweep it like the paint is like a broom, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where that's a game changer for
moving paint along the model is like sweeping dust. You know, you want to move your brush to where you want the color to be.
Yeah.
Right? You sweep the dust pile where you want it to be.
Yep.
You don't sweep the dust away from the dustpan.
Yeah.
Right? But I see a lot of people that put their highlight color and they take their highlight color and start where they want it brightest and then pull the highlight color into the shadows. Yeah. Not realizing that the brush leaves more pigment where you stop. So now you have more of your bright color where you start and all along the side, but when you lift it up, you have a spot more color at the end, which will be in the shadow than at the bright spot. So yeah, we talk about that a lot with just it's a standard brush control mentality that you need to have that always move the paint to where you want that color to be from where you don't want that color to be. And that's then, you know, controlling opacity so that you can put your brush in the shadows, draw the color up to the highlights with a glaze so that it blends along the way, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's crucial to be able to know those things and to have that. When we talk brush control, those are really the main points that a lot of people miss telling you.
Yeah.
That you're not going to get control of your paint until you learn that.
Do the expert acrylics have a longer working time on a dry palette than a normal PA line says D-Fresh?
I mean, it may feel like that, but no, not really. And I say it may feel like that from the sense that, you know, you're going to put out probably more paint on there. You'll notice with the expert acrylics, they tend to skin over as they cure, but they have paint that's still good inside the bubble. So you can poke your brush through the top layer and get good paint still.
Ooh, you doing some edge highlighting now?
Yeah, I may be pushing this a little quick because I'm still looking at some wet wash on this thing, but I'm going to give it a shot here. So here we're taking a real brush, the same white blue we used before, but now we'll kind of just get the upper areas. You want to pop in closer?
Yeah.
Right. So now we're just going to go back in and refine our edges, right? So if I want to get just the top of the chest plate here, I don't want to pull the entire line now because I have this nice kind of mid-level highlight from where the wash covered up our initial dry brush. So I just want to get it at the brightest area up front and then just kind of maybe stipple along that edge. Pop in super close for me.
Yeah.
Right? See how I'll do just a little bit of brightness here and then taper it off. And I taper it off here just tapping the brush. It's dot, 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 dot. Right? So now we're able to get a really nice shine on the armor that will be a nice refined edge rather than dry brushing it for finish. You can dry brush this if you want. It's just harder to control it in a small space. You know, if you've got a really good dry brush, really good control of it, feel confident, go for it, right? But I'm just going to go through here real quick and grab some of these little edges like so and just kind of tap the brush as I go off towards the side here.
Pop Chicken says, have you ever tried using multiple wash colors at once? Burnt sienna or some of the faces for this guy? Multiple wash colors at once.
You mean to blend washes on the model? Like wet blending wash colors? Yeah. Yeah, doing a black wash and then a brown or vice versa is a really, really cool way to create dirty effects on models. And you don't necessarily have to wait for them to dry is the key there. You can get away with them kind of blending together.
Joshua Lee, we didn't do an entire model with the expert acrylics, but if you go back and you watch the Wraith Witch series, he uses a lot. That was a couple weeks ago. That was just before they launched. So go back and watch those VODs. You can see he uses a lot on the armor. Mo, you said you heard sirens. They're coming for me? Yes, they are coming for Chris, for sure. This is it for me. Chat.
This is it for me. I'm done.
The one and only PMS says, I want to paint reddish brown rusty armor for my Iron Hands chapter. Someone recently did this online with a base of silver and red plus brown speed paints, how might one achieve the same look with Monument Hobbies colors, Proacryl?
A reddish-brown rusty armor for your iron hands. Someone recently did this with a base of silver and red-brown speed paints on top. Do it reverse. Give him the link to the rusty armor.
Yeah. I was just about to say, it's kind of like what we were just talking
Starting
about.
with the metal and doing the rust on top, it can look okay. To me, it doesn't work the way you want it to do. It's turn it around, do it the other way. Do the rust first and the dry brush the metal on top of it. And you can go as light as you want to. I go pretty heavy in the video he's going to show you.
And that's the actual methodology too, by the way. Yeah.
And then you can adjust that to your taste to have it be more reddish brown showing through if you want.
Well, and also it's kind of like what Jason's doing now for painted. Essentially doing the same technique as that methodology, but with actual color. You can also send the VOD for your Trench Crusade rushing noosh. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Says Cannibal. Rust using noosh, yes. Pento says, would you use the same method as you did before if you wanted to make a custom wash or glaze? Say to take yellow, thin it out, and then add the medium to it, or would it be too thin prior to the medium?
Read that back for me?
Yeah. When you use the same method as you did before, if you wanted to make a custom wash or glaze, say take a yellow, thin it out, and then add the medium to it, question mark, or will it be too thin prior to the medium?
I mean, the medium will thin its opacity more, so you know, kind of season to taste, if you will. But yeah, we make glazes and washes out of like yellows and stuff, and you can do it with just taking the yellow paint and not thin it first, and use the glaze wash medium as your thinner, and then just a spritz of water in it to make it flow like a wash. That's the way we would typically do it. Just like you saw me do. The wash would actually be thinner because the wash I use, like the Payne's Gray wash in this example, was already pretty low opacity, right? Because it's already a wash. So if you take an opaque paint, you probably want to add more. I typically go about 10 to 1 glaze wash medium to color.
10 to 1.
Yeah, about 10, 8 to 10 to 1.
And with a wash, would you do like 5 to 1 if you're using a wash?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
No, I did it 1 to 1.
Okay, yeah, 1 to 1. Sorry. That's what you were saying. 5 to 1 would be if you were really trying to make it light.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you just wanted barely to have a filter on the model, then you can play around with that ratio. But again, like I said, it's better to start too thin and work up multiple layers than to overdo the opacity and have to fight with it being too dark on the model.
Yeah. November said, I'm glad Campbell brought that up about the noosh. Okay. How would using noosh change the approach on the rust methodology?
How would it change it? I mean, you could just paint the model and then do the rust, over the top of it with noosh, if that's what you're asking. The noosh opens up a world of being able to create those colored filters after the fact. So you could just paint a base color and then treat it more like a wash, right? Where you add the color after the fact.
Yeah.
So there's that. But the rust, I still think it just looks so good when you undercoat it and dry brush over the top of it.
I don't even think you don't really even need the wash on it as much.
But noosh can do the same thing. It will act a little bit different because it's topical and it goes into the recesses and is going to be more controlled looking, I think is the right way to say that. November,
would you noosh it multiple times with mahogany, burnt orange, and yellow?
No. Typically I do like a burnt sienna.
Yeah, you use burnt sienna, but noosh it multiple times with mahogany, burnt orange, and yellow.
You can. You're going to find that you're not going to get what you're looking for, I don't think. Typically what you want to do is, where's this guy? Right. So this guy was nooshed with black brown as a filter over the top to get the whole thing dirty looking. And then I went back with burnt sienna and yellow ochre and did streaking, because you don't want rust to be like necessarily the whole color, I don't think. You want it to be in spots. Yeah. Now, those spots can be as big as you want. I just did it dripping from the rivets and from corners and recesses on him, right? You could put it in broader areas, but I don't think you want to cover the whole model with it.
I don't know if you can use the methodology and interchange the method with noosh.
No.
I think that's what you're asking, November. It's,
totally different product.
Heck, now I've done that. Now going back to what you're saying, November, I've done that exact methodology on a massive model and then nooshed the crap out of it, and it came out great. It added more of like grimy, oily feel when I used mine, but I used petroleum brown and transparent brown. I made like a soup. Orky Fish says, what can I add to make some more texture, like plaster or sand?
On the surface of the model?
Yeah, what kind of texture are you thinking, Orky? You talking on a base? You talking on the model? Heck, you could use our texture paints.
Yeah, I was gonna say, believe it or not, thinning down the snow or the concrete texture paints works really well. Believe it or not. You can thin those down.
Oh, with the rust. Yeah, like with the rust to add texture.
I would do it as texture on its own, right? Like I said, like find something that adds a texture onto the model, and then put the color on top of that texture, rather than expecting
add
texture to the color.
Orky says adding some plaster noosh rust look. Huh. Yeah. Philip, yes, it was a lot of noosh. Half a bottle on that stomp on. It came out
so crazy.
It came out awesome,
you just ladle it on there. It's insane.
It came out great.
Yeah, it does. It looks great.
I'm gonna do it with my Morkanauts or Gorkanauts too. Same thing. I'll show you guys. I'll take a picture of it before and after with the whole layer of it, and then the process of taking that much off with a sponge and just murdering an innocent sponge.
That's insane.
Yeah, Spaznet, that's a great idea. Scrape some rust off your car and add it to your paint. Yeah. Orky Fish, when am I going to get those done? When I get my act together and finish my projects. I just finished.
He's been pretty enthusiastic about it though, so.
I am. I just finished another Gargant, which was my current project. So now I need to decide what I'm going to start working on. And there's so much to work on.
He's got a lot of projects.
Got a lot of projects. Got Earthworm Jim in the rafters waiting. I'm thinking
Deets and Doots mode right now.
Yeah. I'm thinking it would be cool to, you know what I could do though? I could do those two Gorkanauts for you guys, because that would go quick, because all I do is rusty metal. I don't do anything else, right, on the whole thing, and then I'm going back and doing war paint. But then I could show you what noosh looks like at another extreme level, because those are big example models. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll take a picture.
That's frustrating. I said they're wondering why the brush wouldn't put paint on the model. It's because it kept hitting these damn purity seals.
Oh, it's real, Mo. I just have too many projects. Earthworm Jim is real. I have the models already.
Show me the gun.
Yeah, I literally bought an old action figure that Cycro had from the 90s, and I'm going to be painting that.
It's awesome.
So Now I've been trying to figure out how to pose the whole thing. That's the hard part I'm finding with the whole diorama bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like making the pose and then sculpting the arms to do certain things. I'm like, dang, I'm getting cross-eyed. Agrippa, can we douse Chris in Noosh so we can see what it does on a larger scale item? Hey, yo, I ain't no larger scale item. You call me fat, Agrippa?
Is that a fat joke?
No, I will not be in your nooshery.
His noosh fantasy. Sounds like a fetish I'm not interested
Let's
in.
go get
feeding.
get an old clawfoot tub and get a bunch of noosh and let's just do this. I'll bathe in it.
Oh, Jesus. Next, he's selling Chris's noosh water.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, man.
$1,000 a liter.
Chris's noosh water. That's true. Awkwardish. New soaked feet pics are nearly clearly. Oh, no. Is Gabe there today? No free pub for Gabe.
No free pub for Gabe.
Is Gabe? If so, can you put a sticky note on his PC to update the hue charts, pretty please? I thought we did that. The hue charts? What are you talking about?
Update him with what?
Yeah.
I thought they were done.
I thought
But he may
they
have
were
lied
done.
to me. He lies to me a lot.
Papa Chicken to a whole new world of Aladdin Nooshful. Oh my gosh. I can't even. I'm not even doing this. You chat GBT this one, Papa Chicken? You totally did. I know you did.
All he does is sit there with his GPT.
And ask the most craziest questions. Now, let's say I'm painting a diorama of the White House, but it's going to be entirely green. What blue should I start with? Orkyfish, yes, that would take me forever to go back and retag every single old VOD. That's why this new year is why I've been doing this for you. Orky. I know what you're trying to do there. Bud says, speaking of Nooshwater, welcome and good to see you all. We have 15 minutes left and nothing to balk about. I'm so glad you're all here. I won't sing it, November. I won't sing. I won't do it for you. I will not sing what Papa Chicken just said there. Joshua, you can use blue to make green. That's right. This is the portion of the stream where Jason starts to do the panel lining and we know what's happening, right? We know where Jason's at right now, right?
I'm
not even kidding, because this
sunk
happens
into
on
it.
every model that you like get into this phase, which
This is the zone, man.
you have to be.
This is the zone where it's like deets and doots, but the model comes alive. So this is one of the funnest like things for me. Because
Which
it's
is
like
good.
this is where all the contrast really starts to pop. You know, you've used this bright color on here. It gives you the little bit of shock of brightness.
Yeah. Head Onions, do you have a video on making a puddle effect on a base?
No. We have done it before using like a 2-part resin.
Like still water?
Yeah, I always use the 2-part ones where you have to mix it.
I do that Woodland Scenics has like that still water one.
Yeah.
Where you just literally pour it onto it. That's worked for me. The resin is the cooler way to do it though.
Well, I mean, that's just a single part.
Yes, Joshua, that is correct. Papa Chicken, maybe in the future. I don't think you worked on them, Papa Chicken. I don't believe you. I don't believe those are your lyrics. I don't believe it. I'm reading them right now. I can't say those names. No free pub. No free pub. We're not here to promote these people.
Who?
Anybody.
Oh.
We're Monument. That's who we're. That's our pub. I'm not gonna sing no Aladdin songs. Not gonna give them the clout. They're good. Papa Chicken, okay, I'll give you that one. You continue to throw shade. I'm too old to go straight to ChatGPT for my work. All right, I appreciate it.
Exactly what an AI engineer would say.
That's what I... Wait a minute, I almost fell for it.
How they get you, Chris.
How to flock your bases for 3rd edition 40K back in the day. Woodland CNX, yeah, dude.
Oh,
Get ready, we're going to do a green base on this guy.
Oh, my God.
This one right here. This Terminator Captain. That's where we're doing it.
Horrible.
Gabe says, "What you smoking, Mo? They're there." Time for Goblin Green. That's right. No, Agrippa. Jason and I had a man-to-man conversation about that. I walked into his office and he said, "Do-do-do-do-do-do. Hey, Chris, how you doing?"
Did I say that, chat?
You did, and you weren't even skipping.
Oh, my God. Skip at my desk now?
And then, yeah, see, Phil, I wept. I heard that conversation. Christopher cried. Yes, I wept for the good people of chat. I wept in our name. There was, now, Jason, there was an agreement, right? We met together as two countries, and we wrote it all out, got everything signed, right? And there was an agreement about the Goblin Green base. The problem is that
the agreement was no.
No, there was an agreement. You can't say no. You were like, under one condition. Remember?
That the answer is no.
There was one condition.
Yeah, the one condition was no.
No, the one condition is that we do the best Goblin Green base that the planet has ever seen, right? That's my whole vision for this. And then at the end, we do a surprise on how to actually do a Goblin Green base. The problem is,
buying any of this?
Well, the problem is that when I put this on his calendar and I'm just going to do shoot day or something, and Jason's going to walk in here all happy, do-do, and then I'm going to have all these greens out for him. He's going to go, "Wow, no.
Bamboozled again.
Bamboozled.
I've been hornswoggled."
And then we'll record it, and then it'll be the best base, and then everybody literally wins.
Chat, I've been hornswoggled yet again.
Monument Hobbies. I hope Jason just paints an empty base green. That's who knows what could happen, Panic Bomb. Oh, Mo, you said you had the old chart. Oh, okay. Anyway, Goblin Green's coming.
So he thinks.
We'll figure this out. You met as two countries. Yes, Flapjack. I stand by what I said.
He's talking about this guy.
Chris Stand and Jason Stalline. Jason Stan and CSA.
Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, that's right. We came together and we talked about the Goblin Green Pact of the world. Because remember now, it'll be the last Goblin Green base that the world would ever see, though. That's my whole point with it, right? It's the last tutorial and the best tutorial on painting a Goblin Green base that the world would ever see. No matter how many people actually watched it or not, we as a company would have the best Goblin Green base tutorial on the planet. Hands down. And that's my TED Talk.
And that's his TED Talk. Thanks for joining us.
I'm just saying, how cool would that be, chat? Leave it in the comments below. All Are we still at Goblin Green? Yes, Hobby ADHD. Hobby ADHD says, hello, Jason. Glad to be back from work and see that you're streaming.
Well, I'm glad you're back from work watching a stream.
And I'm so glad you're here painting up some new hammer. Gabe says, we should do a how-to basics painting a green base. That would be hilarious. You know how-to basics, right, Jason? Have you seen that YouTube channel?
No.
Oh, shoot, dude. We got to show you that. If you watched that and then you knew that would be the tutorial we would do, you'd be like 100% correct.
100%. That's what we're doing.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Right.
He's the guy who like throws chickens in the toilet.
Oh, yes.
It's like,
yes.
how to cook a chicken.
Yeah.
He just
I do
throws
that. I
eggs
like
at
those.
it.
Those are funny.
Goblin green base for the wins. Oh, okay. We're very 50-50, chat. We'll have to take it to a vote. I'll do a poll. How about that? I'll do a YouTube poll. Should we paint the best goblin green base the planet has ever seen? Yes or no? Tadpole Jackson, is that because nobody else has made a goblin green base tutorial? Well, there's some potentials in that. No, don't vote now. Gabe says yes. Philip says no. Phil, you know you want one. See, like I said, chat. This is the part where I know that Jason Ed's highlighting, so he's in the zone, so we can talk about whatever we want.
Fired. Chris, you're fired.
Hey, this is looking great, though. Speaking of looking great, it's 3:53.
Making stuff up.
No. Awkwardish. I say if Chris wants it so bad, he has to paint it himself. I'll do it, but I'm just saying. Jason is right here. He could do it.
I love how I get this. This becomes, but you're there.
But Jason, you're here. So, no, Philip, I will not do it on Smaug. I will not. Smaug's had enough. All right, he's had enough done to him that he needs some love. He's almost done. I can't go back now.
Chris?
Yeah.
I think we did it. I think in a single stream we did some really good armor.
What'd you do?
I did some armor.
Give me an elevator recap.
We did a very quick and down and dirty 95% dry brush ultramarine.
It looks great.
Right?
And you said you're going to do some true metallics on them?
Oh, we're going to finish it. Yeah, we're going to do the metallics and everything starting tomorrow.
I like it.
Yeah, the whole idea is to really show you how, in the course of what it took us to do this guy here, you could have done, I dread to say in this 2-hour period, you could have done this minus the edge detailing.
Yeah.
Because that's the part that takes you some time. It's just always going to take you time. But did you have to do it? No, because the dry brush edge detailing looked really good. So you didn't have to do the brush detailing that I just did, but it just adds that extra touch, pulls the model together. But you could have done like your entire army for the base blues in this and put the wash on them and then gone to dinner. Yeah. And 2 hours had, 50 models done this way because you'd have been done it you'd have been doing it in that kind of batch coloring mentality.
No, 100%. This is a great workup.
Agrippa, magnesium is an amazing color, right? It's
one of my favorites.
Yeah, it literally is great as a base for golds and silvers.
Hey, Chris makes everything take 46% longer. False.
At minimum.
What? What are you guys talking about?
Tadpole, awesome. You got your expert acrylics? Nice.
What are you talking about? I am fast and efficient. I'll do a goblin green base. You guys can't see this, but I'm waving my little paint wand here at Jason. See?
This is my life, chat.
Hooty hoo.
See, it's him that makes those noises, not me.
No, false. Wow. It's about closing time, Jason.
You credit that undead horse dude Jason painted in magnesium for me getting some. Oh, it's just a great metallic.
Oh, it's
Just great.
freaking awesome.
It made the armor on that guy like literally. If you do
I just
magnesium
did-
and then like dark silver, it's just done.
I did. You like that, Gabe? I know.
Hi, I'm Christopher. I'll paint like go back to the camera.
Yeah.
I'll do the eyes and the.
Oh yeah.
Ah, Jason. Jason came in and said, "Doot doot 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 doot."
Look, there's this one's got a little face on it.
Oh.
Welcome in, chat.
Oh my god.
This is serious business time. Hey, great job, Jason. Welcome back.
Thank you so
what
much.
what a great show to come back, like coming back strong, everybody. You got Marines. We got Marines. Wow.
Yeah, Smaug's right over there.
No, we don't need to see him.
So
Jason saw him.
yeah, I think he looks great, except for the half of him that's black.
I know.
Still.
I need to finish him.
I mean,
I was trying to stipple. I was stippling. Chat, stipple. I was stippling.
so now his new shtick is shoving stuff in front of the camera. It appears.
I won't do it. I won't do it. That'll give me hives later.
Yeah, sock puppets. I'll come up with a sock puppet. Hi, Jason. Doot, 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 doot.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Jordan was watching me stipple Smaug. He's like, "You gonna use an airbrush?" I'm like, "No, man. I'm stippling this bad boy." He's like, "Oh, okay." I ended up airbrushing some of it. Monument sock puppets coming next. That's right.
We need a Muppet of Chris we can hold in front of the camera. No, we really don't. See, I told you. This is just his new shtick. This is going to happen all the time.
I won't. Last time this is ever happening in the world of man. Jason, it is time to go. It's 3:57. You have 3 minutes. Do you remember how to do outros? He's blinking. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, that is a big
That's
fat
a
lie.
fat
Gabe.
lie.
Gabe knows.
Jason is not. Jason, you're all fired.
The entire Monument team in Muppet form. Chris is a liar.
I can literally ban you, Gabe. I literally have the power. I'll ban you.
Chris is a liar.
I'm gonna take away your little moderator badge.
Let's bring it back into
sorry.
the room.
You're correct. Thank you.
A Christmas sushi puppet, please no. Thank God. Hey, dude, thanks for hanging out. Everybody, thank you for coming and joining us. If you're new around here, please hit the like and follow and subscribe buttons, whether you're watching on YouTube or over here on Twitch. We'd love to have you stick around with us and come back. We do this Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here from Monument HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. Love it. Glad to be back. Thank you for putting up with Chris and Jordan for the entire time I was gone. I know you guys had some fun streams. Jordan painted up some really cool Star Wars stuff.
Yep.
Saw some good work done there. Chris worked on Smaug. So I hope you guys got a lot of good content while I was gone. I'm back now, and we're doing this Ultramarine, so we will continue with our Ultramarine Captain, where we have been able to do some really fast, down and dirty, grimdark Ultramarine armor. And we'll go through and finish out all of the rest of him tomorrow and the next day probably. I will not be here on Thursday. We won't be streaming.
Yep.
We have a business meeting on Thursday that'll last all day, but then we're back on Friday. So you'll get me for 4 out of 5 days.
That's right.
So thank you so much for hanging tight with us while I'm gone. Appreciate you guys a ton. Make sure to check out the links that Chris puts in chat there for the store. If you're new, try out some Monument Hobbies goods next time you need some hobby supplies. I think you'll love the paint, Proacryl, all of our Pro Series brushes, all the stuff you see us use on stream. Available there and at the FLGS link. Please support your local gaming store. Those guys and gals out there do all the hard work. They provide you with a place to play, meet people, and socialize in this wonderful hobby of ours. So please support them. If you don't have a store, go check out the web. We've got stores all over the world. So thanks so much for hanging in there. Make sure to check out the Discord. How many people do we have on the Discord now?
We have.
Good God, it's like coming up on like 6,000 people.
I can check that right
5,700 and something amazing artists just like you
5.
guys and gals. It's a great place for inspiration, going and checking out people's projects, joining in our monthly challenge. I'm sorry I missed the challenge judging. I got to go back and look at all those.
5,725 members.
5,725 Discord members. Amazing. Great community. We'd love to see you over there on the Discord. Great place to ask questions, get updates from the Monument Crew directly, and just hang out and make friends because there's a tremendous amount of wealth of knowledge in there from all these other artists that are at all levels of quality on their paint jobs, from beginners all the way to pros. So a wonderful community. Everybody's willing to help. Love to see you over there. And make sure to stick around because Chris is going to find us somebody to raid. Hopefully some more hobby goodness as you go off into your evening, and we will check you back here mañana. I'm out, gang. See ya.